But this little gadget here, to me, is well worth the money if you garden it. Well, good morning, guys. Welcome back to Papaw's Place. As always, if this is your first time here, thanks for dropping in. Feel free to drop in anytime you feel. Guys, I'm in the house this morning doing this. My wife might get mad at me because she had the house all good and cleaned up yesterday. But it's raining and storming outside. We've got 2 3/4 inch of rain. I just went out and fed the chickens and the rabbits and the quails and checked on the greenhouse. But we got 2 3/4 inch rain since 4 o'clock this morning, and right now it's just slightly after 9 o'clock, and it's supposed to rain all day long. So I'm gonna do a video indoors today. I got some items here that I was just itching to get out and look at. This year I'm gonna be trying me something new in my gardening, along with my regular gardening I do. I got some hydroponic buckets here from VEVOR. Now these are more, I think, I might pronounce this wrong, they call it the khaki style hydroponics. It's not where the water circulates and goes through and through. You just put your water and your nutrients in it. But it does, I'm unpacking it here. This is the air line and the air supply valves. It comes with a pump, so you have to use electricity, and it's got a pump, and it's basically like a bubbler in an aquarium, and it's going to go to all these buckets. Now this kit here, we're going to assemble these buckets indoors, but now when I get ready come planting time, I'll do another video on setting them up and what plants I'm going to experiment with. So we'll get to all that after a while when we start assembling the buckets. So they black 5-gallon buckets. They already got their holes drilled. And I think this kit here's got 8. Yeah, this is the 8 bucket set up, but you can get these, I think, maybe like 4 and 6 buckets instead of 8 buckets. I don't know if you can get more than 8 buckets or not in a kit, but the kit comes with everything you need. So in a minute we're going to get back to assembling this. I'm going to assemble one and show y'all how to assemble it, and like I said, then we'll set it up once it gets planting time. Now this right here, I'm going to have to look at the directions to see exactly what this is for. So I ain't never done this. Now I experimented one time. I don't know if any of y'all watch Mr. Leon's gardening. He's about an 80-something-year-old fella in, I think, Oklahoma. That's where the wick buckets got started, the wick tubs. And I still have wick tubs out there that I made, and they work great. But in his high tunnels, he was growing cucumbers, kind of the same setup here, without the bubbler system in it. And I tried it one year and I was going good. My cucumbers was doing so good and pretty. But then it comes a day like today, what happens? Well, I didn't drill no overflow hole. And when it rained a whole lot, it filled it back up with water. And when it done that, it drowned it my air roots. And I never really tried it again. So this year I'm gonna try it with some, not homemade stuff, but actually I'm gonna have 2 out there I'm gonna try homemade. But I'm gonna use this to try different things. Where I strain my tomatoes, I think I'm gonna plant a couple of tomatoes, a couple of cucumbers, I don't know what all I'm gonna try. I ain't gonna do them all one thing, cause on that one row, whatever I have in this bucket, I'm gonna have one on the ground, so I can watch them all year. Y'all can follow along, see which one does the best. But anyway, we'll get back to that in a moment, assembling. I got some other products here, and one of them I think all gardeners should purchase one of these. And I'll put it off and put it off and put it off because I wouldn't purchase one. And that is a pH tester, a soil pH tester. And I ain't talking about one of them little cheap ones like I'm gonna pop right here in the picture, because they don't work. I can tell you them things, they don't work. But what I always done, I used the little testing strips. But the thing is, I got so many raised beds that I've put different soils in at different times, different compost. Well, to do them little pH strips, I'd have to get a little dirt out of each bed, let it sit 24 hours, and still them testing strips, I think you could take 10 different people, let 10 different people stick them in them water, and when you're trying to read them colors, which one you think matches up, I think 10 different people, you might get 2 or 3 to say the same thing, and that's just how I feel about it. So I went on and bit the bullet and bought me one of these. I'm gonna say Tadeto, T-A-D-E-T-O, pH meter is a TE027. And I've been using this, I done tested all my beds, but after I done that, guys, this thing is accurate. It comes with your pH solutions to calibrate, and a solution that you store your probe in, and you mix up. I ain't gonna do this part. It comes in the direction, very easy to follow, but it comes in the packages here. This pH is 7.0, and because you can save this after you mix it and use it again, as long as you don't mess up, stick it from one into the other. Always wash your tip off with some neutralized water, sterilized, distilled water, whatever, something that's around the 7 pH before you stick it into the next one. This is the pH of 4, and this is the pH of 10. Now it's been a few days since I had this out. Comes with your little instruction package. Also comes with 2 or 3 sets of your pH stuff here, but like I said, you keep that in the house, and I cover mine with a rag, keep it in a dark place. That'll last for a long time without having to mix any more up. Plus you can buy this very cheap off Amazon, the little solutions. Comes with a little brush, you can clean your probe. Because between each time of sticking it in your soils, you need to wash it. Use your little probe, make sure ain't no dirt or nothing on it, and it's clean before you stick it. Now it comes with the little screw-on tip here, and that's got your regular little solution in it that you store your tip in. It's got a pack of that, which if you ain't got that, you can just store it in water, as long as you got some distilled water. And when you don't do this, it's got a metal tip here, screws right on. But first I'm gonna walk over here and rinse the tip off, because I'm gonna show y'all how accurate it is, and it's been sitting in the house 3 or 4 days since I used it. But you always wash your tip off before you stick it. When you're calibrating it, when you're going from one to the other, you have to wash the tip off, and like I'm just gonna do it here. The manual shows you it's very easy to turn on and off and do your calibration. And right now I just washed it with my water over there, and it's 6.9. So we're gonna put it in a 10 here, because I don't want it to use the 7 because it's already reading 6.9. Now I ain't recalibrating here, I'm just checking it to make sure it's still, like if I was gonna go to my garden right now, put it in there, give it a little slush around, and it'll automatically pop up 10 on the pH. So now I know I wouldn't have to recalculate it, I'm good to go. I can go out there and start testing my soils. Like I said, testing your soils, Do not stick this in the soil of any kind without your metal tip on it. And even with your metal tip, you want soft soil. You don't be wanting to jab this down in a hard clay, because even though this has got a little plastic stem here, that's glass in the inside. So you want to have your loose soil to test. And guys, this thing, I knew my soil was on the alkalinity side, because when I got that gin trash a couple years ago, I tested it by just getting the samples of it, putting it in a jar and watering it down and using the little ribbon cards that turn color. And that stuff was up there around 8, 9. So in my beds, I slowly started adding sulfur to bring my pH down. I want mine around 6.5. But in a couple of my beds, I use, I'll show y'all a picture here, soil acidifier. And them two beds this year is just right. They reading like 6.4 to 6.6. My other beds is still a little high. They reading anywhere from 7 to 7.5. And that's the ones I use the sulfur in. But I didn't know how much sulfur to put in, because I had, you know, I wanted to grow stuff in the fall, so I was trying to do it easily as I stepped up. But now I'm going to go on probably today after this rain and put some more of this soil acidifier in the beds that I know that needs more acidified, and try to get that time to set before I plant, which ain't going to be about 3 or 4 more weeks before I plant, hopefully. But this little gadget here, to me, is well worth the money if you garden. Now, I just walked over and washed my tip back off, because I'm going to screw the cap back on that has the solution in it. You want to store it in the solution. You don't want to store it and let it get dry. So if you store this stuff through the winter or something, store it indoors, because you don't want that to dry out in there. As always, everything that I use or showing y'all will be in the description below this video, and also I have a link. It's an Amazon affiliated link where I purchased this from, but the good thing is, if y'all go through that link, I do get just a few pennies off of what you purchase, but it don't cost you no more. It's the same price if you just click on Amazon. And every little bit helps, so I really appreciate y'all when y'all use my Amazon affiliated links. And also I got a Amazon storefront now, and it's always under every video, and you can go to my storefront and go shopping. But we're going to put this back up, and like I said, I think every gardener should purchase one of these. Now I know a lot of them is big about telling gardeners they need to get their soils tested. And I guess that's alright if you have no clue nothing about your soil. But I ain't going to pay to have no soil tested. But I do need to keep my pHs right when I'm adding different stuff, my compost, and like me getting that gin trash, because that gin trash pile has been down there composting for years and years and years, and I didn't have a clue what might be in it, you know. It could be other trash that was composted, and I'm glad I tested it when I come home, because the fella I got it from, he said, yeah, I'm going to put some of that on my garden, and then I'm going to go get me some lime. Well, after I got home and I tested it, I immediately called him. I said, you don't want to put no lime on this. He said, well, yeah. I said, no, you don't. I said, because it's already up there around 8 on your pH. You put lime in it, it's just going to go on up to 10. You need to put some sulfur or something to bring your pH back down. So he was sure finna mess up. He said, man, I always thought that gin trash was on the acidic side. I said, well, maybe there's something else been put in this pile over the years. I don't know, but I've tested it multiple times, and it's up there around the 8, 9, and 10. I'd say if I had to say an average, I'd say it was averaging about 8, but you don't want that for gardening. So I'm going to set this back to the side. And guys, I'm going to go on and tell you again before I put this up. If you're going to buy one, Go on and spend the money and get a decent one. This ain't near about the highest price one. They got some sure enough good ones. But when you buy them little cheap things like this right here, and then you say, well, this ain't working, I'll go buy this little cheap thing like this right here. Well, that's money you could have put toward this and got you a good one right off the bat. Trust me, I did, and they don't work. If you're gonna do that, just stick with the little testing strips. So next, an item I got here, if any of you like saving your scraps, eggshells, whatever, coffee grounds, whatever you want to save for your garden or for your chickens or for your compost pile in your house, well, this here is a little scrap bucket. Now this brand right here, and I might pronounce it wrong, Utopia, that's how I'd say it, Utopia Kitchens. But what's good about this, you see it's got the little bin holes in top, but it's got a charcoal filter, and it comes with extra filters. Now these filters, as long as you don't get nasty and fill your bucket up and get it onto your filter there, that filter will last for months and months. I done had this in here a couple months. And that's why I wanted to show you to get guys, because you won't be smelling nothing. You pull that top off, you're like, I gotta get this mess out of here. So these things with this little charcoal filter really works. And they don't look bad because they're stainless steel sitting in your house. I just keep mine beside the trash can over. But again, that'll be in the description below this video if you're interested in one of these. But I just want, when I find something that works, I like to show it to you guys in case y'all looking at any. I can tell you if it works. If something don't work, I'm gonna let you know it don't work. And some stuff that I show, I try to explain what it's for. And one of the biggest things I got into one time was that little weed eater. I call it the old folks weed eater. Now guys, I've tried to point it out as best I could. You don't want this weed eater unless you living in a little apartment and you just got a little bitty sidewalk 10 foot long. I said this is just something older people can use. Well, I had some comments about that weed eater and I'm like, I done my best, you know. I didn't tell you to go buy this weed eater to get out here and do your acre around the house with it. So I'm gonna tell you the truth when I tell you about products. So we're going to set that to the side. And now we're going to get back to our VEVOR buckets. And I'm going to take a coffee break here. And how y'all like my new coffee cup? My daughter got me that. It's got all the chickens on it. And if you ain't blind like me, you could literally read. They got the name of what they are. It's actually got turkeys on it, 2 different breeds. But I like that. A chicken cup with all the breeds. I ain't gonna say all of them, but a lot of they could put on this cup, I guess. But for me to read them, I had to get my magnifying glass to read them. But you can read them. So we're gonna unpack this first. This is our pump. And these tubes right here. Blue tubes, and you got a hole right here on the bottom of your bucket, one right here on the top of your bucket. But I better wait before I stick it in there. And what that's going to be for, it's going to go like that right there. I think I'm going to have to cut these tubes. That way you can look, because you're going to, as you put your solution in here, and I'm going to be using Master Blend tomato formula is what I'm going to be using. But as it goes down, and that's another mistake I made when I done it the first time with my barrel. As your solution goes down, don't let it go way down here and then fill it back up, because it drowns your air roots. And that's what happened to me when it rained. It come back up so fast and filled back up, drowned the air roots. You want to, as it goes down, it go down by 3 inches. Put put about an inch back in there. It goes back down, put about an inch back in there. That way it keeps it full, because roots is steady going to be going all the way through that solution, growing in the bottom like a tomato. But if you let this go way down there and then decide I'm going to fill it back up, then you're going to drown the air roots and kill your plant. So I did learn that. And we'll go over all that again when I actually set them up in the garden. And it comes with these little balls, and that goes on the end of your hoses to go in your bucket to make bubbles like in an aquarium. Then we got some little check valves. I'm sure that's going to go on an air hose so it can't, if the pump went off, it can't suck water back up into the pump. Then we got our little rubber inserts that's going to go in these holes for the lines to run through, and these ends on these gauge tips. And we got some plugs for the top of the buckets. Let me get one of these out of here. This is the top of the bucket. Comes with your basket pre-made on it, but it has a filling hole where you can use to top your nutrients back off, and it's got a little rubber plug. Now rainwater's still gonna go around and go in here, but we're gonna have that full of, that's one thing I don't see. I thought this was supposed to come with, I thought it showed it come with the little clay balls that you put in there around your plants. I don't see them. That may have went to this. That may be, I don't know. I have to get the directions out here in a minute for that. Here's some more little clamps for your air hose. And it's got these little beads. Now, without even looking at the directions, you put a bead in this tube. It's orange, and you can see that bead. That way you can keep up with where your nutrients level is. And then it's got its fittings. This will come off the pump. Have 8 lines, one going to each bucket. And then we got the little clamp. I'm 99% sure. Yep, that goes right there. This sticks right here, and you got your 2 little clamps that hold that on there. So now I'm finna get my cup of coffee and look at directions real quick to see what this is for. I ain't really sure. Unless if you got little seed starts, cut, I don't know. We'll get to that in a moment. I gotta have a cup of coffee while I read. Okay guys, I got some very good drawings here. Some of the best I've ever seen on products nowadays. Very easy to follow. And they come with 4 bags of the clay pebbles, so it's a half a bag for each top where you plant. And you can use these over and over and over for years as long as you wash them and clean them up. And you want to rinse these off real good before you start your first planting. So I'm going to do, this is very simple. They did do a little change here from the original ones, I think. Let me get this back out of here. But you take these little rubber tits right here, grommets, I think is what you call them. Stick in all 3 holes. The tube already comes with the L on the end. You just stick it in the bottom hole. And then they got this other little, It ain't nothing but a fitting that sticks in that hole right here, grommet, with a little clip that holds your line up straight. Now I thought at one time, maybe when they first started making them, you had to cut this hose here and it L'd back into the bucket. But now they just leaving them sticking straight up, and you would drop one of your little red BBs in here, and that BB will float wherever your nutrients level is. Now, you don't want to cut this tube below this top, like down here, just to say I'm going to cut it off and make it look better, because then if you put nutrients in there or it rains, you'll lose your little bead. But this is where I am going to make a modification. When I put mine up, I was thinking that was an overflow hole. That hole there is where your line runs in through this hole, then inside your tank. Now I ain't gonna do this today because this is one long line and I gotta get my bucket set where I want them to make sure I got enough line before I go to cutting. But you'd run that hose through that grommet, put this little, I don't know what these things called, a bubbler ball. It makes it bubbles, just like in a fish aquarium. That'll be sitting on the bottom in there. The line will come run out and run to your pump right here. Now on your pump right here, you're gonna cut you a short piece of line, and you ain't gonna want them all the same length. We're gonna start out, I'm gonna do one today about, I don't know, 4 inches long. And here's another product I'm gonna support today. Back in the winter, we got a new Harbor Freight about 30 miles from me. And they have these scissors here, N-N-I-N. I don't know if that's supposed to be an O or a symbol. But this pack of scissors, this was the big one. It had 4 in the pack. This one, a little bit smaller, and then a small set. Now, I ain't gonna sit here and tell you these are good as friskers, but these have been some good scissors, because friskers don't last me long. When I have scissors out in the greenhouse or out in my shed, and I went and got these out of the shed, I cut so much stuff, even friskers ain't gonna last me long, because I cut stuff that shouldn't be cut with them. But I think in for 4 scissors, 4 sets of scissors in the pack, I can't remember, something like $8 or $9. And they good heavy duty made. And for, like I said now, if you just wanting good scissors to cut paper, I ain't gonna sit here and tell you these are good as friskers, but they real good for what I do with them, because I have them messed up. Anyway, let's get back to what we was doing. This is where your check valve goes on. Now, if I ain't mistaken, yeah, you gotta blow through it and make sure you put it on the right direction. You want the air to go through. And that's the side you want to put on this hose going toward the tank. I mean, going toward the pump, I'm sorry. And you stick that right here on you. Y'all see that? You stick that right here on the end of your manifold. And I knew this was gonna be a little tricky. So when I went to the shed to get my scissors, I got my heat gun to make it easier, because that's plastic. I don't want to be pushing so hard I break that plastic manifold. You can do this with a hairdryer. This is a heat gun, it just does it quicker. And that should slip right on over that now. If it don't, we'll go to the Dawn dishwashing detergent to give it a little lubrication. Now I think I got mine too soft. And you want to make sure that's going to be pushed all the way on there. I think I'm going to take this back off the pump. That way I can get it up here and push and twist. You ain't got to have no clamp or nothing on this, but they fit tight. And the reason you want to stagger them, which they flexible enough, you can move them even if you cut this the same length. They flexible enough, but I'd probably stagger mine so each check valve ain't sitting side by side. But like I said, they flexible enough, you could get by with cutting them all the same length right here. But then you would get your, how you gonna set it up, wherever you gonna set it up, mine's gonna be in a line. Put this back on the pump. So mine's gonna be setting in a line how I'm gonna set it. So I get enough hose here to go through this grommlet down in the bucket and put the little air ball on. The next line, of course, would have to be longer because I'm going to be spacing these at least 2 foot apart. On the ones I'm going to have tomatoes in them, I might plant them 3 foot apart. It's according to how much hose I got. That's why I got to wait when it ain't raining, when I get ready to set it up. Stretch my line out before I go doing any cutting. And that's all it is to it, guys. Now this little orange thing, I don't think it showed it in the... It don't show this on the directions. The only thing I can figure this as far as if you got plants that's that size, maybe you cut it, set your plant in that, put your clay pebbles around it. Because I don't see this even shows on the directions anywhere. It's got your parts list here. No, I don't see this. I don't see this on there. The way mine's potted up, I don't think I'm gonna need this anyway. Mine, I'm starting in soil. I'm not starting them hydroponic style. This may have something to do with you starting your seeds hydroponic and hydroponic. I think they are in little cups or something. You probably cut you one of these out, set it right in here, and then put your clay pebbles around this. That would be my guess. Maybe some of y'all can tell me in the comments if you ever done hydroponicing. But like I said, this ain't true hydroponic or true hydroponic. It's got a continuous flow of water, neither the steady flow of fresh water and it recirculates or something other like that. This here is more the khaki style, except it has the air bubbler in there that puts the oxygen in your water. So I'm gonna put all this back in the bags, put it back in the box, because it's gonna be a few more weeks. But if you're interested in these, guys, I looked in, I said I wanted to try this. I've been watching a fella that does hydroponic greenhouse gardening. Of course, not in buckets like this, but I'm like, I want to try something like that, but I ain't got no high tunnel or nothing. So I started looking up stuff, and this is the best deal I could come across. Because I even added it up. If I bought my buckets, of course you got to buy lids, and then you got to buy the baskets, and you got to buy the hose. Now you wouldn't have to have this little part, but you got to have a good, decent pump, the bubblers. And when I added it all up, this was a cheaper deal just to go on and buy it already assembled here. So moving on, the next little gadget I got. Now I didn't get this particularly for the buckets because Master Blend, you can go to their website and it shows you how to mix it for a 5-gallon bucket. But this year, I don't know if some of y'all watch my gardening videos, my fertilizer injector that I guaranteed to inject through any type of irrigation. I don't care if you ain't got but one emitter, and it works. But I made an improvement to it this winter, and I ain't gonna show that until I set it up. I made an improvement to my injector, but I'm also gonna go a step further this year. I'm gonna filter my garden water, and then I'm gonna have it where I can inject my fertilizers, but I'm gonna use this little tester here to test my fertilizer for the EC. What does it test for? I ain't got this one out, ain't calibrated it. I've got it out and read the directions, and it's got awesome directions that would help you out. Now, it shows real hydroponic stuff, but it shows you your pH and your EC for different vegetables. And also, if you want to do parts per million, it does that. That's what it does. It does pH, EC, and parts per million. So guys, I don't know where I was at. My camera just went off and had to get up and put another battery in it. But this little meter here does the pH, the EC, and the parts per million. And some of you probably just said, well, why you buy two of them if this one does pH? Well, this ain't for soil. You can't jab this one down in the soil. And just like the other one, it has a cap that goes on it, but see them little glass tips on there? It's got like 3 of them. This is made for your fertilized solutions or water. You don't go sticking this in no soil. But I'm going to be experimenting, and this is where this is going to come in. This is going to be set up, and on the same row, whatever I got planted in this bucket, I'm going to have another one in the soil that I'm going to be using injector, and I'm going to make sure the EC of my fertilizer, which is same, going to be master blend. Well, sometimes I might use my 20-20-20, but I can still check the EC on it, and I'm going to compare what's growing in this bucket to what's growing in the soil, and everything that's in the bucket and in the soil is I'm going to be stringing like they do in a greenhouse, just for the fun of it. And again, this comes with your pH solutions, which is the exact same as I got mixed up right here. You got extra packs here. I done read the directions, easy to follow. I ain't gonna go through the calibration. I'll tell you real quick, you basically turn it on, rinse the end off with some distilled water, hold your calibration button, stick it in. It tells you which one to stick it in first. That's another thing. You got to read which one you stick it in first, 4, 7, or 10. Then you pull it out and you rinse it off with some neutralized water. I'm going to call it neutralized water. It ain't got to be distilled water, just as long as it's around the 7. Stick it in the next one. You watch it till it stops flashing. Take it out, rinse it off, stick it in the other one. Take it out. When it stops flashing, it's calibrated. Then all you got to do to test it is just stick it back in one or the other one, and if it's reading 4, 7, or 10, you know it's accurate. And that's what I like about that pH meter. As soon as you stick it in the soil, it tells you what's there. And if you think something's going wrong, you come back in and stick it in one of them solutions and see if it's reading right. So I'm going to be doing this, and some of you probably thinking, boy, you getting expensive on your little garden in there. Well, like I said before, on one of my videos here a while back about people telling people, only grow what you can eat. Only grow what you can eat. I agree with that if you're trying to grow in a garden just for food. But this is my hobby. This, my chickens, my rabbits, my quails. I'm getting food, but yet this is my hobby. This is what I like doing now. I don't hardly hunt at all anymore. That used to be all I did, hunted and fished, and I ain't went fishing since 2018. And this is what I'm into. So yeah, I do spend a little more on it than I would or should or whatever, but to me, I'd rather fool with my gardening and buy me something like this, because I can promise you, I can buy both of these for a one night to a fancy steakhouse, taking just me and my wife to go eat and maybe a movie. That night I'm going to spend more just for that than I'm going to do on this. And I'd much rather be at home out in my garden fooling with this. So that's kind of where I stand on that kind of stuff. It's my hobby and what I like doing. But this comes with some, like I said, it comes with some good charts here. Got all your vegetables listed, your best pH for each vegetable, your best EC strength for each vegetable, ppm, which I ain't, ppm, usually if a person using ppm, he ain't gonna be using EC. I'm going by the EC. I mean, the whole thing's all list of all your vegetables. Then it tells you, and this is a laminated sheets come with these. I like that too, because I won't remember from one year to the next. If I have to recalibrate it, I've got these to look back at. And this here is your direction sheets. Same thing, laminated. Tells you exactly how to use it in different situations. I was saying ppm, well ppm and I think TDS is the same thing. So it's called a PHEC TDS calibration, which TDS is your ppms if I ain't mistaken. So that's what y'all gonna see me fooling with in the garden this year. Like I said, with my new improved injector now, and I got me a big mixing tank. And I'm gonna also filter my water that I send through my irrigation on that particular garden. Now all my other beds that's not on irrigation, they just gonna get watered with the water we got, which is around neutral. I've been testing it with that. You can actually test the water with this. I was testing it with that, and it shows it's really 7 to 7.5 to 8. Sometimes it'll show up 8. Well, I'm gonna try to do like they do on the hydroponics and actually acidify the water that I'm feeding in there out of my tank, make it about a 6.5, and see what that does on production. Again, this is just some of this, I guess I'd call it garden nerding out on garden, trying to see what I can do to make it better and more fun. But guys, I'm gonna wait for it to stop raining, and I'm gonna go out there to the greenhouse and show y'all a little update on my greenhouse, what's going on in it. And we may just have to go do it in the rain, because it's supposed to rain all day, but I'm gonna wait for that thunder and lightning to move on out of here. I ain't going out in the greenhouse with it lightning. Y'all hear that thunder roaring? But if any of y'all have ever used this system, leave me some comments and let me know what y'all think. Now, like I said, it works way better in high tunnels because you ain't got to worry about rain. And I don't know if I mentioned that or I started mentioning it. I'm not gonna do it until I fill it up, because your pipe's set down in here. I'd have to get a mark. And then I'm gonna drop down about 1 inch. I think I want to drop down like 1 inch below this and drill me a hole. That way if it rains, it would overflow that hole. Now, yeah, I would have to come back and re-strengthen my nutrients up, but you don't want your roots to flood once they start growing. So what I may have to do is get me some solid rubber plugs and plug it, because you're gonna need your water all the way up touching the bottom of this until they get going. And then after your roots get going and they get below that inch, then I can pull that solid rubber plug, and if it rained in here, it would only come back up and it'd still leave you that inch of air gap in there. And then I could always watch this if I need it. That's where I need to put my plug, over here. So I can always watch the level, and it gets down about 1 inch, top it back off. Get down about 1 inch, top it back off. And that's where this is gonna come in handy, because instead of going to the Master Blend website, I can also fix me up a smaller jug, check my EC on it, top my bucket back off. So yeah, I'm gonna have to search out me some plugs. I'm gonna have to have a solid plug, because it's gonna have to be plugged until you get your plant started. Or again, if any of y'all out there have done this and got a better idea, let me know. These are built to be in greenhouses and stuff because of that. I mean, here, you get one of these like we already got today, it's probably close to 3 inches out there. Well, of course, it would drown everything out. And we get rains like that too often. So I got to come up with me a little solution there. I'm sure on Amazon I can find some kind of plugs. If nothing else, I can buy some wine bottle corks. That also, while I'm speaking of drilling that hole, what I'm gonna do too, guys, behind that hole, I'm gonna hot glue me a piece of screen on there so mosquitoes and stuff can't go in through that hole after I pull the plug. So I'm gonna have to get a little creative on that, because I gotta have it to where I can plug it, but yet it already be screened. So I may end up using a little PVC fitting or something. Who knows? Y'all see that when it comes time to set this stuff up. Well, guys, it's 2 o'clock and the rain's just now slowing down. We up to 4 inches of rain, and you can see it looks like I'm starting to live on the lake. The 2 ducks way down there is enjoying it. But that's my backyard. Well, as y'all can see, we getting rain, but the lightning and the thunder slowed down. I'm just gonna get the camera, give y'all a quick look-see at what's going on in the greenhouse, and that's gonna be it, guys. But down on this end, that's my tomatoes. We got some Florida 91, some red snappers, some Hasanitas, STM 2255, some purple boys, some red snappers, and then we got my peppers coming up there, doing good. Got a little celery started here. This here's some ground cherries. And my last peppers I forgot, and I realized the other day, well, heatless habaneros, so they got started real late. And then there's my Hasanator bells, some Savannah sweet peppers, some cayenne long red peppers, some carnival blend peppers, the zinnias and lilliputs is growing good. There's my onions I had left over. I planted some more of them out, and then that's what's left. Right there, snapdragons and zinnias. And then we got my 3 different kinds of cauliflower, eggplants, black beauties, fairy tales. That's the broccoli back here on the back. Then on this side we got some more tomatoes. We got the Honey Delight, Tropical Sunset. I think a couple of them is Roma tomatoes. And I bought me a Tadeto plant from the corner market. I ain't never raised a Tadeto. So I'm going to plant 1 plant of that just because I ain't never grew it. And then my herbs I picked up at the corner market, because mine didn't do so well starting out this year. So we got some oregano, some sweet basil, and then back there on the back, what's that? I can't remember. That's kale. And then my late started stuff here. That's Cope's pumpkin. He got from the pumpkin patch last year. I saved some seeds. Them's coming up good. That there's starting to come up. And then the rest of that is green eggplant squash, some more Katarina cabbage, which is going to be way late, some parsley. But the corner market should get some parsley. I'll grab one up there to plant, because then it's going to be way late. And then I got my watermelons and my cantaloupes and my cucumbers. And what else is in there? What's that right there? Oh, that's a different summer dance cucumbers, which I have way more than I'm gonna need. But that's where my greenhouse is at the time. Just y'all a quick little peeky-doo. And here's some more of my experimental playing stuff. Setting it in the kind of aquaponic style, starting it to see how that started. And they doing pretty good. I just play around, try different stuff, just like seeing what I need to do. Uh-oh, this one here done. I got to cut. What I had right here is a piece of a foam noodle, swimming noodle. I guess the wind done blew hard enough up in here, it blew that one out. I'm gonna have to cut me a piece to put back in there. But the tomatoes are jumping. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to. I might have to get some little stakes and put on them. I had to wait 3 or 4 more weeks to plant them things out. Alright guys, tonight for supper we having white perch. Some of you know that as crappie. And back when I was off working, a man come up to me and asked me did I crappie fish. And I said, no, I don't fish in the toilets very much. But we got us some crappie and we got us some French fries and some hush puppies tonight. And that's what's going to be for supper. Now it's sampling time. That was a little hot. I got one of the last ones I took out. It's still a little hot from the grease. Come fix the plate. Huh?
Give that piece of wood.
Me and brother finna eat tonight. We ain't waiting on Sharon to come in. Got some potatoes back there. We got more potatoes. I just wasn't gonna fry them. She got on. They get salt.
Yeah.
You get all you want.
Oh, I wouldn't want to eat with. I don't eat much of it either.
Right here, ketchup.
Yeah.
Pretty good fish, you know that.
Yeah, that's probably about all I'll eat that day. It's pretty big lunch.